let's talk art journals. Now, as you've probably seen on my channel, if you're a really hardcore follower, I did my journaling history almost, and I showed you through all my journals from when I first started to present day, which was I think 2 years ago. Now I get a lot of questions and I get a lot of interest in this one. This is a huge one. It doesn't even fit on frame, and this was an old sewing book, and I altered the sewing book to become my art journal, and it literally is my favorite journal that I have to date, and I do a lot of journaling. So I thought, since I do love it and I miss it, I get a lot of questions about it, that I'm gonna do a series on my channel about altered sewing books and turning them into art journals. Now I'm not quite sure how I'm gonna do this. I think I might do it bit by bit each week, and I'm gonna show you. We're gonna do some journal with me's, and instead of it being in my Midori, it's going to be more art journal style and all that sort of stuff. So this is my big sewing book. It took me a really long time to finish this book, and it's got tip-ins, and it's got practice work and classes and things like that all throughout this journal. Now, I have tried different ones. I have tried these ones here and like this sort of stuff all through here, but I keep coming back to my sewing book. I think it's because I work straight on the pages, so you can see partial bits of the pattern pages behind it. I think I really liked the effect that gave. There's lots of paint, tape, collage, and I don't really do that sort of journaling in my Midori. I don't. And I know a lot of people really enjoyed my more artsy kind of videos, so I thought I would, there's some acetate there with some bingo numbers, so I thought I'd do a few videos showcasing that side of me as well, not just my not just this part of me. So we'll see. We'll see where it takes us. I do have another sewing book, and not exactly like this, but pretty close. So I'll close this. Move it to one side. I actually bought this one from the same place that I bought this one at the same time, and it was from, oh, that one's gonna hit the camera. Eee. This one cost me $2 from a church book sale in Inverell. They have book sales once a year, and it's a little bit smaller. It's a more rectangular format, but it has the same feeling paper as my old sewing book. So I knew that it would be just fine to work on. It's it's a really robust paper. So you don't have to have a sewing book. I just prefer the look of them. But I want to start altering this on camera for you guys bit by bit, and show you the process that I went through with this one, but altering the other one to show you, because I didn't do any of that on camera for my last journal. I wasn't really on YouTube when I was doing my sewing book. It was only towards the end when I was showing the big one. So when you want to alter a book, you need to tear out a large portion of the pages, because you're going to be adding quite a lot of bulk to your art journal. The spine's not going to cope. So, and as you can see, even with all my cutting, my spine on my book let's see if it will focus in. The spine on my book there, it didn't cope very well, and I actually cracked my spine and had to repair it several times. That's why there's like dodgy book cloth on it, and it's literally falling apart. So we're going to try and avoid that on our books. Now, is that nice? And get that back in focus. Right, so when you're looking for a book that you want to alter, the thing you need to look for is you need to look for a sewn binding. So as you can see, my spine is coming off, but the sewn pages means that you're going to have a much sturdier book, a much sturdier journal. So this book will probably get a makeover, but I don't normally do that straight away. I work in the book a bit before I actually alter the covers and things. So normally you would tear out every second page. Now, I don't know where my metal ruler is at the moment. I think Elijah might have it. So I'm going to show you. I actually got this tip from Jane Davenport, and you don't tear all the way at the spine, so you have like little bits here, because if you were to tear it out, then you're going to have a lot of pages falling out of your book. So you basically tear close to the spine, but not all the way in. I know if you're a massive book lover, I'm going to get some thumbs down for this, but I understand. I will use every part of this book. These papers that I tear out will get turned into something and altered, so it's getting a second life. And once I'm done tearing all the pages out, I'll either leave these, or I'll tape them down to the next page, or I'll just glue them down. I think I just did bits and pieces in mine. I don't remember actually. Yeah, as you can see, some of my pages are literally coming out. And I think that's because I tore some pages out to photograph them for a when they were getting published. So I think this one got put into a book, and so I had to get it into my scanner, and now my poor journal is feeling the pain, so I need to give it some surgery. But I will essentially do this throughout the whole of the book, and I don't like these colored bits here, because they have a different feel to the other ones, like the photograph ones. So I will tear these out, and I'll probably tear the next one out too, because I don't like them. But I'll probably do this off camera, because there is a lot of pages, but it's just to help your book function better. If you're going to be working a lot of mixed media in it, and you're going to do a lot of texture work, the spine's just not going to cope. It's not going to cope, and then you'll have a sad journal and a sad journal keeper. So we're trying to give it the best chance it's got. See, I love those. I'll keep those. To become a really beautiful art journal. So I think the books from the 1940s to 1950s have the paper that's like this, and it really holds well to a lot of abuse. And I can tell you that my last book was abused quite a lot. This is saying 1970s, but still, it's still holding up. It's the same sort of feel as my other book. Oh, I like those too. Keep those. So this is where we're going to start our first series. So find a book that you'd like to alter, and then start prepping it by tearing out every second or third page, but not all the way. Otherwise you're going to get, your pages are going to start to fall out, and then it's not a happy day when that happens. So I am going to leave it here, and I'll probably come back and then show you what's left of the book now once I've finished tearing everything out. But I'm pretty excited. I miss my sewing journal. I didn't realize how much I miss it until I look at it. Like, I don't normally look at my journal very often, but sometimes I pick it up, and Lily likes to go through it quite a lot, actually. She's asked me if she can keep my sewing journal, and I kind of just say, no way. No way. So I'll be back soon. Okay, it's been about a week since I filmed the first part of the video, and I have torn out my pages, so you can see there where the rips have basically been. So you can see that it goes from being quite thick down here to quite thin down here. So that means that when we add all our bits and pieces to the art journal, it'll bulk out a little bit this way, but it shouldn't affect the spine, hopefully. So we'll just be more aware of our spine, and when we do tip-ins and things, we'll try and tip in from the ends inwards and not so much on the inside of the page. So I was just checking in to show you what how it looked afterwards, after I'd torn all the pages out of. So you can see that I did do this part. Wait for it to focus in a little bit. I did do these little flaps on quite a lot of the every second to third page, depending on if I liked something or not. But that's the first step, guys, is to find the book that you want and then start tearing out every second to third page. So you need to remove quite a considerable amount of paper from your journals before we start altering them. So that is your first task, and I'm going to leave that with you guys. So I'm going to try and do one altered book video per week for you guys, and probably next week we'll look at prepping some of the pages and slapping some paint and collage down randomly throughout the book, just to stop your wanting to be perfectionist. Now, I art journal in a very different way to a lot of people. I collect everything. It's kind of very similar to my Midori journal, but this is a lot more painterly. I use a lot more mixed media in my journals, but I want you to start collecting excess photos that don't get used. I want you to start collecting ephemera, bits and pieces. I've got a whole lot of magazine clippings that I'll probably use. As you saw in my big sewing book, there's bits and pieces of everything. There's not just, there's my art practice. It's like where life and art collide. That's how I explained it to people when I took my big sewing book to the paper and craft show when I worked with Jane. That's how I explained my journal to people, because it wasn't just drawings and things, it was photographs and clippings and practice, drawing practice. So you don't have to have in your head that your art journal needs to be full of completed artworks and full of huge works of art. I'm a firm believer in process. Process is what it's all about, and you can see from the start of your journal to the end of the journal how far you've come just by looking at the process and how everything comes together. We're going to work with a lot of bright colors because I like to work with bright colors. So start collecting bits and pieces. I have a little tub of things that I just throw in, you know, clippings and let's see, I have a folder back here that is filled with collage sheets and magazine clippings and photographs and bits and pieces of ephemera. So start collecting that sort of thing, and have it in a tub or something, like a designated spot. You don't have to have a plan for it. Just start collecting. You may or may not use it down the track. It doesn't matter. The fact is you're starting to make a conscious decision to put things in a designated spot. So when it comes time for us to do a collage video, or it comes time for us to do photographs and things like that, you've got, you know, a little stash of things. I'm a firm believer in also using what you have. So I'm not going to be buying anything for this video. Obviously, if you don't have a book, go thrifting, go to the op shops, find a cheap book. You don't need to pay top dollar for the most perfect book. We're going to be altering it. It's going to look amazing regardless of what kind of book you're using. But I just prefer the sewing books, so that's what I'm going to do. So I hope you enjoyed this little intro video. I know it wasn't much in the way of progress, but I want to do these in bite-sized videos so it's not overwhelming for you guys, because there might be some people out there that have never done an art journal before, and this whole thing, that my whole finished book looks very daunting when you look at it as a whole. But I promise you, once we break it down into sizable little chunks, you'll be astonished at how easy it is to create an altered art journal. So go look for your books, and I will be back next week with some page prep and things like that. No, you don't need gesso. If you don't have gesso, don't worry. I don't gesso very many of my pages because I don't like working on it. So don't stress. Cheap things are where I'm at. I will be using cheap craft paint. I will be using cheap stuff. So don't stress about buying a whole heap of supplies. We're going to use what we have and create something pretty with it. I'll see you guys next week when we start prepping some of these pages. So get your book and start tearing them out, and get a whole heap of paper out of these books, because we don't want to bust our spine. Make sure you look for a sewn binding as well. If you buy a book with a glue binding, it's going to fall apart on you. It won't be able to handle it. So I'll talk to you guys next week with the next installment, and hopefully you've noticed a little bit of a jump in my quality. I have updated my camera, and this is my first little bit using my new camera, so I still have a lot to get used to, but I hope it helps with looking at my videos. So if you have any questions or anything, please leave them below, and I will get back to every single question about this, because I know a lot of people ask me a lot of questions about my other book. So if you have questions, leave them below. I will answer every single one of them. Okay, bye.